Good afternoon and welcome to this Facebook Live edition of Let's Talk Access, a social media program produced and presented by the UWI Open Campus. I am your host, Cleveland Sam. Thank you for joining us wherever you are on the World Wide Web this afternoon. Today we are speaking economics. Yes, economics, that very important topic, and in particular, the BSc Economics program that the UWI campus, the UWI Open Campus offers. I have three special guests on today's panel. All three are female, and I'm going to introduce them right now. First, Ms. Stacey-Ann Megu, and she's the program manager at the Online Programs Delivery Department at the UWI Open Campus. Ms. Keisha Dumas, and she's a BSc Economics student from Trinidad and Tobago. And Ms. Beverly Aline, and she's a facilitator with the BSc Economics program. Ladies and ladies, welcome to Let's Talk Access.
Thank you, Dr. Sam. Thank you for having us.
All right, so Beverly, I'm going to go to you first as the economist on the panel. Just to put in context for us, the economics, what really is economics? We hear it as a subject at CXC, at CAPE, but what is economics? Beverly?
Hi, good evening.
Hi, good afternoon.
The idea of economics is basically assessing scarcity. Now, scarcity is a component of each society because we're talking about limited resources. So when we talk about being an economist or studying in the area of economics, we're talking about how to manage the idea of scarcity, how to manage scarce resources and how to use them efficiently. Okay, so not only managing them, but using them efficiently. And also we look at different components of how individuals deal and manage resources within the society. So not only the idea of the resources themselves, but how individuals manage scarce resources, okay, to achieve limited wants and needs. So that's basically what economics is about.
All right, I can tell that you are someone who teaches this because I went and did some research as well, and I'm going to share the definition with our audience, and you would see that all the components that you mentioned are actually in this definition from the Corporate Finance Institute. And it says that the modern definition of economics attributed to the 20th century economist Paul Samuelson builds upon the definition of the past and defines the subject as a social science. According to Samuelson, economics is the study of how people and society choose, with or without the use of money, to employ scarce productive resources, as you mentioned, Beverly, which could have alternative uses to produce various commodities over time and to distribute them for the consumption now and in the future among various persons and groups of society. And as I said, that is from the Corporate Finance Institute's website. So you are on the ball, Beverly, opening the baton this afternoon.
Yes, and another component of that too is the three questions that we ask: how, what, and for whom to produce. Right. Okay, so this can fall into how different economies decide to handle this, where they can either use a planned approach where the government takes it, they can use a free market approach where the private takes it, or they can use a combination of that to deal with for what, how, and for whom in terms of the society. Yes.
Okay, yes, I think I remember those things, the planned and the open economy, and all of those things.
Planned, private, and yes, a mix between the two.
Right,
so that's the foundation behind what economics is about.
And with the exception of very few countries now, the world really has become an open society in terms of economics.
Global society, definitely one. It has become one society. Yes. Yeah. Yes, based on the globalization, liberalization, and stuff like that, those policies.
So for you as a practicing economist, your job must be really exciting now, because there's so many new trends, and as you said, with the whole globalization and where that has gone to, I mean, it must bring up a lot of challenges, but also a lot of excitement.
It definitely does, because it not only facilitates we talk about scarcity, but it not only reduces that component somewhat, because now you have the idea of competitive and comparative advantage where you can trade that was introduced years ago. So it provides that added component for countries who would have previously been at a disadvantage. So now you have that added component, but then you have the disadvantage of societies that may want to take advantage of, so to speak, weaker societies who are not able to defend themselves. So it's a positive and a negative. So yes.
Very exciting stuff. Okay. And of course, we're going to get back to you later in the program to speak about some of those other things. But with us as well, as I said, is Stacey Ann, my colleague from APAD, and she's a program manager. And tell us a bit about the program. Stacey Ann, what does a program manager at the UWI Open Campus? What do you actually do as a program manager?
Okay, so Dr. Sam, the program manager's role is to manage the overall delivery of the program. And what that entails is that ensuring that our students are provided with a quality teaching and learning experience. We also ensure that the programs and courses delivered by the Open Campus are financially viable as well to the university. So in a nutshell, it's a two-phase role where we have to ensure that students are provided with quality teaching and learning, while at the same time looking out for the university as well.
Okay, good. So you have a very important role to play within the university and the campus in particular.
Right.
All right. So people like our other panelists, Keisha Dumas is somebody that you obviously would relate it. Keisha, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Sam.
Right. Welcome. Welcome. I must say you're carrying a very big Caribbean surname.
Yes, yes, I am.
All right. Any relation to the Dumas family?
Yes, I am actually related to William Dumas's family by marriage. So I'm married into the family.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good way to get in.
That I actually chose to pursue an economic degree. So
exactly.
you know, everyone would ask, are you related? Are you related? I get that all the time.
Right. So tell us, why have you decided to pursue a BSc in Economics at the UWI Open Campus?
Well, specifically, I chose to pursue the degree at the UE Open Campus because, as most students, past students would say, for convenience. I loved the convenience, the thought of not having to actually go to the traditional brick and mortar school and being able to have more time, because time is so valuable right now. And the distance I would have had to travel to and fro on the times, it was not very appealing to me. So it was good that UE Open Campus was offering economics. And economics, I kind of got into that. It wasn't really my first choice, actually. What happened is that I found most of the work I was doing, well, back then, I used to work at a commercial bank for a number of years. And most of the times, and that's managing people, and most of the time I would employ, some sort of analytics, mathematical and analytics. I was drawn to that. So I started to say, okay, I already did an associate in business management. I needed the other side, the mathematical side. So I was, I was researching into what I could possibly do. And it's actually my husband suggested, why don't you study economics? Because that's such a foundational course. You could go into anything. Well, most things, actually. Yes. So if you're not completely sure on what you want to do. You already know what, you're drawn to. And he was right, actually. That was a very good choice.
Great, great. Well, congratulations to your husband for making the very appropriate suggestion.
Possible.
Good man. All right, there you go. So we have set the stage really for the rest of the program. I'm going to go back to my colleague Stacey Ann. And Stacey Ann, tell us, what is the rationale behind the Open Campus offering this program? I mean, I've heard from Stacey Ann about the convenience for her as a mature student, but what is really the rationale from the Open Campus for offering this program?
Right, so Dr. Sam, actually having an economics degree, it affords persons a higher level of mathematical and statistical skills, as well as the ability to apply economics principles in business, finance, and even in the public sector. So we saw it, the economics program as fitting to deliver throughout the Caribbean to our students.
Okay, so let's start from the beginning. How is the program structured?
All right, so the program is on it's 90 credits, it's a 90 credit program, which means there are 30 courses throughout the program. We have 3 levels, level 1, level 2, and level 3. We encourage students to complete level 1 before they move on to level 2 and level 3. The entry requirements for the program, students are expected, or applicants are expected under the normal matriculation to have a minimum of 5 CXCs, inclusive of math and English, as well as 2 A levels. For mature matriculation, persons who may have 5 CXCs and have been working for maybe 5 years, those are persons over 21 and working for 5 years. They can also access the program. We also accommodate persons who may have done a certificate, an associate degree, or a diploma with the UE or another institution, recognized institution by the UE, to enter the program.
Okay, great. So there are different access streams.
Right.
I can't help but ask you, what about prior learning assessment? Is prior learning assessment one of the ways people can access this program, PLA?
Like I said, it depends. We don't really, for this program, we don't really use the prior learning assessment standard. Okay. Right. But as I said before, if persons would have had 5 CXCs and they have been in the working world for 5 years, they can access the program as well.
Great. Lots of options to access the program. Right. And the duration, how long does it take you to complete the BSc? Okay,
so for students who are doing the program full-time, it will take 3 years. And for part-time, it takes 5 years.
Right. What do we mean when we say part-time or full-time in this context?
All right. So actually at the Open Campus, we are more of a part-time university. However, if students are not working, we allow them to do up to 5 courses per semester, right? As a full-time student. And then for persons who are doing part-time, who are actually working a full-time job, we allow them to do up to 3 courses per semester.
Okay, great. Let me go to the program facilitator, Beverly, who is a practicing economist. Beverly, you are the facilitator of this program. How do you find the students that come into the program? How have they been so far? And how are you enjoying the program as a facilitator?
The students that I have lectured or facilitated so far, they are quite informative about the issues. That is the benefit. That is one benefit of having part-time students, because they have the work experience component. And the added benefit is that the full-time, so to speak, students or persons who are not working, they can learn from the part-time students who are working. So the combination of that is excellent. especially when you talk about the forum discussions that we have and the sessions that we have. They're able to benefit from each other because for the full-time students today also bring the added benefit of their theoretical aspect, because sometimes prior times they're not able to read as much and to become involved as much with the course. So that combination of the practical and the theoretical aspects brings a lot of benefit to the discussions that we have as one major thing about that combination.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Going back to Stacey, and in terms of we are targeting, is there a specific demographic that the program is designed for, Stacey Ann?
Actually, the program is just for about anybody who's interested in economics, even for persons who want to start their own businesses, persons who want to go in government. It's just about for everybody and anybody, for students or applicants who have recently graduated from high school. I mean, they can also enter the program for persons who want to change their careers. So whether they are actually in the statistician field or economics field or banking, insurance, just about anybody, which we're trying to target just about anybody who's interested in economics or persons who wants to change their career at this time. I should also add for persons who wish to be financial advisors too, they can also enter the program.
Okay, great. Well, maybe this is a good time for me to remind persons that applications are now open for the academic year 2022 to 2023, which starts in September. The applications open from January 24th. And for the undergraduate programs, they run until July 22nd. For the postgraduate programs, the application period runs until June 30th. And just to advise that there will be no MPhil, PhD, or EdD being offered for semester 1, 2022-2023. As I said, that starts in September. And for more information, you can log on to www.apply.open.uwi.edu. I will repeat this later in the program for the benefit of our viewers. But you can, of course, go on to open.uwi.edu and look at the programs we have on offer. So Keisha, so you are considered a mature student.
Yes.
Right. So you transitioned from a previous career into, heading for an economics degree and so on. So tell us, how has this been for you so far? What has the experience been?
With everything, there are challenges, but what I must say about the challenges I encountered at the UWI Open campus is that they always serve to help me develop as a person. Just to touch on something that Ms. Megu said, and to clarify a bit more, the program for mature and full part-time students doesn't necessarily take 5 years, because for me, I also thought I had to complete it in 5 years, but in managing my time, I recognize that I am capable of doing more than 3 subjects per semester.
Right.
And the great thing about UWI Open Campus is the staff. So I was able to email Ms. Megu. I think I had to do that also with the previous program advisor, and inquire if I could do more than 3 subjects. I don't know what her process was, if she would look to see, okay, is she doing well so far? Can she manage or whatnot? But
yes, I did, Keisha. I have to check that. Yes, I have to check to see how you're performing before I make that decision.
Okay, great. So I was approved. So I was able to fast track my degree a bit. So I'm expected to complete it next semester. Is going to be my last semester. And that would actually be 3.5 years as opposed to the 5 years. So at a point in time, I started to take on 4 courses as opposed to the 3.
Wow, that's a heavy load, but as your program manager said that you have been doing very well, so she was able to say, yes, you can do this. Great stuff. And in terms of your actual experience, how has that been? Because so that means you have been there now for 2.5 years.
3, yes.
3 years.
Yes.
Yeah.
3.
How has that experience been?
The experience was new. The first thing that I liked about the experience was virtually meeting other students from all over the Caribbean. That was awesome. I was taken aback. I was happily surprised at that. In the start, it took me a while getting accustomed. I was like, what country are you from? What country are you from? I sounded like a tourist. And then eventually, you would get accustomed to the accents and all of that. So
Right.
that is a wonderful experience. Also, as Ms. Allen would have mentioned, and I think you yourself at some point in that, there are the discussion forums.
Right.
So that was a bit challenging in the start. I mean, over the years, I've gotten accustomed and learned how to manage it even better. But the discussion forum, so it would be online and you're expected to post your response to a particular question and then also respond to your colleagues. And, in the start, you would do the normal response to a colleague. But as time went by, I learned how to respond, even though it's online, still in a very conversational manner. However, still get to the meat of the matter, which is excellent because in a time like this, with COVID, most things are online, are virtual. So that was another added benefit of the UE Open Campus. And another, this one, at first, again, it was tough. The UE Open Campus is really not your typical tertiary education institute. You are expected to take accountability and responsibility for your learning. So yes, you would have your facilitators and your tutors being there to give you the assistance you need and the foundation, but they are not there to basically spoon feed you. And I think that's one of the things I probably went in thinking, okay, yes, this is like, yeah, I'm just gonna sit back and have everything taught to me, but that, no, you learn how to research. You have to get good at researching and, analyzing and making sense of the information that you get. And of course, the coordinators, the tutors are there to assist if you have any doubts or questions.
All right, Beverly, I'm sure you're smiling. You want to respond to some of what Keisha just said? Because I think you're also one of her facilitators, isn't it?
Yes, I am. But I just want to add to that what Keisha was saying about the discussion forum, that in addition to it being conversational, we encourage academic writing. So that sometimes is a big challenge for students, as she said at the beginning, because you think it's more just like a conversation where you're just discussing this topic, and they fail to use academic literature and to include citations and references. So sometimes when they get back a mark, especially at the first year and the second year, they're like, but I thought I did very good writing. And then we're like, but you're plagiarizing, you're not acknowledging your readers and the information that you gathered. So that is a big thing for many students when they begin. And the fact that it is still a formal environment, even though you're online, in terms of your writing and your language, sometimes they're a bit very informal with speaking. So that's an adjustment, as she said. So it was quite interesting to hear her speak, yes.
Right, and she did make the point about the fact that, it's not a typical university. You're not spoon-fed.
Well, that is certainly true, because I remember one time I had a class and the student is like, Miss, I had another lecture and she didn't teach us anything, and you know the course was very hard for me because she did not teach anything. And then one of her own colleagues, one of her peers, came in and say, "This is learn yourself. Basically, this is independent learning based on what we signed." So there's actually a document that has to be signed when you start Open Campus to acknowledge that you are accountable for your own learning. So he had to actually remind her that you signed this document saying that you will do your own learning and you will just be facilitated in your learning. So yes.
Right. So a lot of student-centered learning, student-led learning takes place there.
Yes,
Yes, it does.
But that actually helps you, if I may. It plays a big part in your development. I have high regard for anyone who have completed the UE Open Campus in any degree or master's, because I know at this stage what they had to go through. They were not spoon-fed. They took accountability for their learning. So, I mean, if I were an employer, I would grab up UE Open Campus students, because I know these people, they can work independently, and I mean, they know what it takes to have to be accountable.
That's so true.
This is for both Beverly and Stacey-Ann. How much mathematics, or what should I say, mathematics type subjects are taken in the economics program?
Okay, Dr. Sam. Well, I would say probably about 8 to 10 courses are mathematically based. About 8 to 10. Because we have a course called Mathematical Methods in Economics, and that we have a 1 and a 2, a level 1 and 2 for those courses. Of course, you have the Introduction to Statistics. We have Econometrics.
Wow.
Yes. Yes, so there are about 8 to 10 courses that are mathematically based.
Right, out of 30, okay.
Right, Keisha, you can back me up on that.
Yes, I was there shaking my head. You are correct. There are about 10.
Yes.
10. But what I would also say, even though they're about 10 based, the others, some you are expected to apply the mathematical aspect in the other courses.
Right.
So yes.
Right.
Yes, that is quite so, because in addition to the direct mathematical courses that are offered, almost all of the others take the application of mathematical and statistical components within them. And that is quite important when you talk about analysis, because you want to make sure that scientific analysis is incorporated into what you speak and what you verify. All right, so students are definitely taught how to do scientific analysis of the data that is provided.
Beverly, confession, I am not mathematically inclined. And maybe that's one of the reasons why I'm not an economist today. But how difficult do you, in terms of your experience with the teaching of economics, how challenging is this for some of your students?
Well, it is not necessarily challenging, because what UE does is so basically teach you and cause you to apply mathematical and statistical principles in stages. So for example, you start with the basic mathematics and statistics, as Stacey-Ann said, but in addition to that, for example, the first course, Econs 1000, you have the incorporation of maths to find, for example, opportunity cost. Okay, the opportunity cost is basically an idea of the best alternative to calculate that. So you have certain figures and you learn how to incorporate maths and statistics into your studies. So it is not just thrown at you. You have different levels of learning mathematics. So eventually you get accustomed to it in different years. So it's not that difficult, but it takes a lot of practice.
Right.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to Stacey, and in terms of, well, I'm sure Beverly, you would weigh in on this as well. How is the economics program assessed, Stacey Ann?
All right, so prior to the pandemic, the program courses, some of the courses, we would have continuous assessment as well as face-to-face examinations. However, since the pandemic, we are now doing fully continuous assessments. Students are examined through quizzes, discussion topics, presentations, group work. They are also examined through research or case studies. So we use a wide variety of means to examine students, but it's all continuous assessment at this point in time.
All right, I love continuous assessment. How have you found these assessments, Keisha? How have you been dealing with them?
You said you love continuous assessment. I was happy. Well, I mean, COVID is not something to be happy about. However, on the upside for me is that we transitioned to continuous assessment, because I'll be honest, having to go to UWI St. Augustine to do exams was nerve-wracking. So I actually appreciate the continuous assessment. However, do not be fooled, it is not easy. Right. Because it's not. If you're not good at managing your time, it could serve it could be, continuous assessment could be to your detriment. And most of the times what I found is that the last set of assessments, you usually have a shorter time frame within which to complete them. And I can understand, because this is where you are expected to have the knowledge already and, be able to produce the answers within a shorter space of time. Because come on, in the world of work, you won't always be given a month or a lengthy amount of time to complete a project. So right. I can appreciate that. The discussion questions I've grown accustomed to, and sometimes you're tempted to just forego them, because it's like, oh my gosh, all this writing for how much %? But believe you me, it adds up. It does. So
I encourage students that every single mark counts. Do not fall short on your discussions. Every single mark counts.
It does. I can say there's a particular course that I did. There were about 5 discussions, and each was about 2.5%.
Annoying, right?
So, typically you'll be like, nah, I could skip 1, I could skip 2. But when at the end of the day, when you're looking for the A or the B as opposed to that C,
right.
The 2.5 by 2.
That 2.5 can save you.
It does.
Can save you from an A.
It really does. All the assessments, I would say, has the right amount of challenge posed to them. So it's not that online learning is like easier than the brick and mortar, typical classroom learning. It is not. It poses a different challenge. However, it's with everything, it helps you to develop.
Great. And
in addition to that,
go ahead.
In addition to that, when you talk about group assignments, normally in the formal brick and mortar teachers in classroom setting, you have people who like to abscond, so to speak. And that still happens in the online environment. But the benefit of working at UWI is that we include the idea of a peer review. And there, students can actually build their marks from the group assignment or lose marks. So that also motivates students in their submissions and in their assessments to really participate as a group. And that is an important component of the assessment.
And how have you found managing the continuous assessment as opposed to dealing with a one-off exam, Beverly, as a facilitator?
It's quite challenging because sometimes you feel like the students also in terms of having to meet deadlines. Because we try to submit assessment feedback and grades within a 2-week period. So that provides a challenge in terms of that. But what we also do is to include a component of quizzes, and based on the technology that the Open Campus uses, the quizzes are self-marked, and we just review them to make sure that the grade is okay and in line with what was part of what was submitted, so to speak, as the correct answers, just to make sure that technology did not go out of place. Right. So that helps to lessen the amount of grading that you have. And then sometimes we do presentations too. So at the presentation, the students will have an idea of how they did, and you get the grade right away. You can mark them easier right away because you're listening to what they're saying. And they have more formative assessment.
Well, my colleagues at the Caribbean Examinations Council, where I spent quite a number of years, told me from day one that the continuous assessment, which is regarded as formative, is much more authentic than the one-off summative assessment that you have at the end of the term. So I'm happy for people like Keisha and the others, and I sympathize with you, Beverly.
Yeah, but the benefit of it too is that as a facilitator, you can actually assess how students are doing in different units. Because as you rightly said, with the final exam, you don't really get to do a complete assessment of how well they understood that unit. So that's the benefit of the formative assessment, because you assess in different combinations of units. So you really get to see how students understood the unit and how they processed what was learned. So that's the benefit of that, rather than till at the end. And then another benefit too is that you can actually discuss with them and give them feedback at different stages. Whereas a final exam, usually a final exam, students sometimes see back their marked paper with feedback, and sometimes they never see back their marked paper, they just see a grade. All right. And then you have to ask the lecturer, can I meet with you to discuss what happens? And then not every lecturer wants to meet with you to discuss what happens. So in the formative setting, students are able to see, okay, this is where I went down, this is where I did not understand, and this is how I can improve. So that's a benefit to that too.
Great. All right. So we're gonna pivot now to look at career path for people who are studying a BSc in economics. And I know you are spotlighted right now, Beverly, so I'm going to stay with you. Why did you choose to be an economist?
Well, I'm flabbergasted with numbers. That's the first thing. I love numbers. I love finance and stuff like that. But the reason why I chose economics, I remember speaking with my mom, and because I love numbers, I always wanted to do accounting. And she told me, yes, you like accounting, you love numbers, but economics offers a wider base as to working and using your knowledge in terms of analysis and forecasting and modeling and all these different components that numbers involve. So I happily took her advice, and I don't regret it at all, because the benefit of working as an economist is that you also, every day you get to apply numbers, because you use numbers to form analysis, to forecast, to model, to assess what is going on in an economy, okay? And we also do a lot of research, and research is an important component when you talk about research and development. So it's a very wide field. It has many branches. You have health economics, you have financial economics, you have industrial organization, we have public finance, you have financial economics, you have econometrics, as Stacey-Ann says, and that sounds like a very big word, but that's just a combination of economics, mathematical, and statistical principles to really understand what is happening in the economy. And then there's also a field where you can get into the legal aspect, and you can become a corporate assistant and a corporate analyst, and also do areas like competitive law. Like being an economist, I once took courses in competitive law where you assess how organizations are using their capacity in the free market environment in terms of if they're following suit with fairness. So based on ethical principles and how you work within the formal environment or the business environment, then as an economist, you have the opportunity to assess and see who is cheating the market. Okay, for example, a monopolist, a monopoly, he would want to charge higher prices. But then the advantage of being an economist in competitive law or competition law is that you can now discuss with this monopolist that, okay, these prices are way too high for the market, even though you own this market, this industry, you still have to reduce the prices to cater for the customers based on the legal aspect or the law. Okay, so economics is very exciting, very, very, very wide-ranging fields. And you can get into anything when you think about becoming an economist. So that is what I love about economics.
Wow, I'm sold. Keisha, you have transitioned from banking, and you are in the process of becoming an economist. Tell us about this transition and what are you looking forward to?
Yes, as Ms. Allen said, economics gives you the ability to go into a wide number of other fields. And that is also why I chose to embark on my economics journey. Because I know, like Ms. Allen, I love numbers, everything. I wanted to apply some form of analytics, mathematical analytics to it. So, okay, it was the right choice for me, but at the same point in time, I didn't know exactly where I wanted to go. I knew what I liked doing, but I didn't know exactly where it would take me. So economics was a very good choice. And as Ms. Allen said, you could do a number of things. And I agree, from all the courses I've done, I've seen there's so many areas that I could divert to. That, I still have to give it some thought, because I mean, there's health economics, labor economics, a number of areas. So for now, I'm just focused on completing my degree. What I may do after is project management, but I expect that all these things would come together, because what I can also do after that is open my own business.
There you go.
So, yeah. So the sky's the limits once you do economics.
Sorry, I think someone was coming in just now. Not sure, was it Stacey-Ann or Beverly?
No, I was just agreeing with Keisha that yes, the option of becoming an entrepreneur is a very viable one too with becoming an economist, because you get to touch on all the different aspects, not only the market, but how you can handle your own business and the financial aspect, all the different aspects you actually touch in studying economics. So yes.
All right, so I'm gonna provide some information that as I said, I researched earlier that spoke about that. And it says an economics degree will boost your employability in many areas, regardless of the industry you work in. There is strong demand for highly numerate graduates throughout the global marketplace, and the widely transferable analytical and problem-solving skills developed by economics students means that their careers in economics are extremely wide-ranging and diverse. Yes. And yes, that is from topuniversities.com. And another bit of information I have here from Indeed.com spoke about some of the things that you do as an economist, Beverly. They said working as an economist involves being able to successfully research, as you mentioned that, economic influences using surveys and other data collection methods, understand and interpret economic indicators such as gross domestic product, analyze and interpret data using statistical and mathematical principles and techniques, make forecasts for future economic growth or decline, influence policy decisions for corporations, industries, or government entities, create and recommend policy solutions for the financial or government sector, and write and present papers on data findings and applicable conclusions. You have a great responsibility, Beverly.
Yes, definitely, because that what studying in economics does is to help you to capture and to receive knowledge in all the important areas when you talk about analysis. Okay, remember before I was telling you about scientific research, that you don't want just inquiry-based, human inquiry-based. You want to make sure that you have sound understanding of the principles and the concepts that society faces or society has to deal with. So we not only do the mathematical component, but you also base it with statistics, which is the scientific component. So when you're speaking, you actually are speaking something that has all the different components of the society and that people can relate with, but now they can relate to it on a sound basis as opposed to, but I agreed with that. I saw prices going up all the time. Every day prices are going up. But now we can prove to you that yes, prices are really going up, but it's not only going up with the milk that you saw in the supermarket is going up overall. Okay, so that's the benefit of that. And then when we have the numbers now, we analyze it to explain to you in which industries this is going up and why. Because a lot of times too, as individuals, we have an idea, oh, it is going up because of, for example, now it's going up because of the war, but then it may also be going up because of other issues at play. So when we talk about reporting, when you talk about, for example, different countries, different central banks will produce their reports on a quarterly, semi-annual, and annual basis, then you can now receive information as to why these things are happening within the economy and to understand it better. So you not only look at economics itself, you look at statistics, you look at research, you look at mathematics. So it's a very wide component. So in terms of getting a job, if you're not hired as an economist, you can be hired as a statistician, you can be hired as a researcher, or any one of the branches of economics.
And you can also be hired as a financial risk analyst, a data analyst, a financial planner, an economic researcher, a financial consultant, investment analyst, a public or other roles in the public sector.
Yes.
All right. And let's go back to the whole issue of entrepreneurship, because that is something that the university is also promoting. And I know, Stacey, and you had started when you were speaking about the rationale for the program. You want to emphasize more on this first. How can persons pursuing this program look towards working for themselves? And Beverly, you can chip in here because you are an example of this.
Okay.
All right, so Dr. Sam, for persons who would want to venture into the business field, I mean, they could work as independent financial advisors, they could work as consultants, and in the field of doing consultants, it allows them to work with various businesses, both in the private and the public sector. So that's an area that can be looked at. Like I said, financial advisor. I know that over the Caribbean now, we are all looking at the stock market. I just recently I did a stock one-on-one course with Kville, and we had like about over 200 participants.
My son is in that course.
Yes. Over the Caribbean, and I was amazed by it. So this generation, we are all about making money. we're looking,
Building wealth.
yes, to build wealth, building generational wealth, right? So, so persons who are in the economics field, they can start their own business to give financial advice, to persons who are interested in investing, in what stocks they should invest their money into. So I think that the field of economics and starting your own business, it is a viable business, I should say. Right.
Yes, and in addition to that too, for example, I'm an independent research and consultant, so I would work for different agencies and organizations to do research for them. So that is one thing that you can do. For example, international organizations, they're always doing research. Okay, you have UNDP, you have WHO, you have all these organizations that are always trying to find out how things should change, how they should improve, what is happening. You're talking about historically, what is happening on all these different components to see how we can do improvement or we can improve on the society and the economy as a whole. And in addition to that, you can also do a part-time job like giving back in terms of helping students learn. So you can facilitate, you can be a lecturer, you can be a tutor, you can be a private tutor to actually do one-on-one classes with persons. So there are many different things that you can do. You can also work with you can also offer services to other organizations in terms of staying on board with them as a evaluation specialist to see what is going on with them. You can do policy analysts for governments. They can hire you to draft policies, to review policies, to make sure that, okay, it is in line with what is expected and what is happening in the economy. So there are many different jobs that you can do as an independent person or entrepreneur who would want to work for yourself.
Great. I'm hoping that our prospective students are listening and they can see, the wide range in roles and careers that are available in this field. Believe it or not, we only have 7 minutes remaining on this program. It seems like we've only just started, right? Obviously, I want to deal with the whole issue of money. And for some reason, us in the Caribbean do not like speaking about money a lot. So first, I want to ask Stacey Ann about the cost of doing this program. And of course, Keisha, as a student in the program, you can come into that. And then I want to go back to you, Beverly, to talk about the type of salaries that persons in the economics field can expect. So Stacey Ann?
Okay, so the cost for the program, how we do it at the Open Campus, we allow students to pay per course, and that is per 3-credit course. Currently, it is US $360 per 3-credit course. And what you can do is you multiply that by the amount of courses that you wish to do for the semester. In addition to the US $360, you would need to pay some administrative fees, which is not, I'm not sure exactly how much those fees are, but it shouldn't be much. So what you would do is you would pay the amount in your local currency. So whatever the US $360 works out to in your local currency, then you'd work it out to that. And to be honest with you, Dr. Sam, I do believe that US $360 is very reasonable for the quality of degree that you are going to be getting at the end of the program. So US $360 per course it's a
affordable.
Yes, it's affordable,
yes.
Right? In comparison to what other universities internationally are charging.
And yes, Keisha, go ahead.
I would agree with that. One of the things that took me by surprise was the cost of the degree. When it was suggested to me to, I should do a degree in economics, the first thing that crossed my mind was, oh my gosh, it's going to be a lot. And then, okay, it was suggested UE. I'm like, worse yet, oh my gosh, because UE has such a name built a name for itself that I automatically thought UE money, lots of money, but it's not like that at all. And I was pleasantly surprised at the cost of the program. There's a payment plan
Right.
that, yes, I was able to take advantage of. I use it to the max every semester. I use it, so it helps, because when you're not able to pay the US 360, I mean, upfront, you're able to, well, the current payment plan has, you pay the administrative fees, you have to cover that first, and then you have up to 3 other payments broken down. So it's about 3 or 4 months within which you have to pay for the semester. So it's the open campus, UE open campus, and for an economics degree, it is very affordable.
Great, happy to hear that, and happy you're able to take advantage of the payment plan. Beverly, what type of salaries can people pursuing a BSc and looking at a career in economics expect to earn?
On average, if you're talking about a monthly job, on average, you can earn about $1,500 US. So, of course, I would vary based on the type of job, the type of location. For example, if you're with an international organization, you may get more or less. And then if you are with government, it may be a little less. So, and then it varies by country. Okay, but on average, you should earn about $1,500 US per month. And then you can, as I said before, you can always back up your salaries or your earnings with doing independent jobs that are always available most times, okay? Because based on the environment, that is why I said most times, based on the economy, because for example, everything is online now, so persons will have to find jobs that they can do online, okay? For example, research consultancies and meetings and stuff like that, that they can, so to add to their finances and their earnings, so yes.
Right, so I did, again, as I said, a bit of research, and I think this website is called Indeed.com. And according to them, the average base salary for an economist in the United States is about $98,675 per year. And as you rightly said, it varies depending on which state you're in and which agencies you're in. So I saw some figures, for example, if you're working with the World Bank, you can make up to like $150,000 per year. If you're working with the Federal Reserve Bank, you could make about 160 something thousand. So it varies. But basically, I think the point is we're saying here is that, you know, you're not going to find an economist who is living in poverty.
In addition to that, economists are a bit frugal or economical in our spending. So
okay,
we use resources wisely. Remember, we're taught how to use scarce resources.
Correct.
Find that component of an economist being too wasteful with resources. That's on average, yes.
All right. So I think this is a really good time for me to remind our viewers that the application period for the UWI Open Campus, it is open now for September intake 2022. It runs from January 24th to July 22nd for the undergraduate programs. And it runs again from January 24th to June 30th for the postgraduate programs. And just a note that there will be no MPhil, PhD, or EdD programs offered for semester 1, 2022-2023. Basically, that means this upcoming semester in September. And you can log on to www.apply.uwi, sorry, let me take that from the top again, www.apply.open.uwi.edu. Of course, you can check our website for all of the details. Ladies, we are at the end of the program. I'm going to give each of you 30 seconds to just wrap up and encourage others out there to join this profession of economics?
Well, I will start. I just wanna challenge students, prospective applicants, that anything that you hope to succeed at takes effort, it takes determination, and it takes your investment in it. Okay, so you're not gonna come into a field where you can just breeze through it and expect a wonderful salary. So the idea of you deciding to study economics is that you're deciding to work hard and to invest in your own learning, invest in your studies, invest in yourself to become the best employer and employee and entrepreneur for the future generations.
All right. Thank you, Beverly.
Hi, everyone. I just want to say that we at the Open Campus are here waiting to serve you. So now is the time to get on board. Apply.
Yes.
Apply. Keisha, you have the final word.
Oh, thank you. A degree in economics can take you very far, as I was not even aware until I took the courses of how far and how broad economics was, and I have no regrets. So even if you're uncertain and you know you like numbers or you have an interest in the world or you're curious, economics is for you, and Open Campus is a great place to start that journey.
All right, thank you very much, Keisha. So I want to say a special thanks to our panelists this afternoon. It has been a really enriching discussion for me. I thoroughly enjoyed taking you guys through this program this afternoon. Special thanks to Stacey and Megwood, and she's a program manager, the online programs delivery department at the UWI Open Campus. Keisha Dimas, who you just heard from, and she's a BSc Economics student from Trinidad and Tobago at the UWI Open Campus, and the facilitator of the BSc Economics program, Beverly Aline. Thank you, ladies, for joining us this afternoon. Special thanks to you, our viewers, for making this program a success. Without you, this program cannot be successful. And I want to say thanks as well to Patrick Johnson, my technical director, Louis Boxell, Marcia Reed, Sharice Glasgow for handling all the matters, questions, and queries in the background. Until next time, I'm your host, Cleveland Sam. Goodbye.